everyone, it's Andrea and welcome back to my channel. I have a wedding layout for you today, very romantic and florally and got a lot in mind, and it's featuring this photo of my daughter Katie and her scent of the day, Miss Dior. It's her wedding day scent, and I've picked up this little Dior card from Macy's, didn't spray perfume on it or anything. So I have decided to use it in the scrapbook, and it is backed with some pewter cardstock. I have the two photos cut down on and matted onto 4x6 black cardstock as well. And I have decided to use a sketch from Christie's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches. You can find her group here on Facebook. And this sketch in particular is the one that I thought would work well with the florally elements and the florally scent. And I just love the design elements. I love the triangles. I think it's perfect for what I have in mind. And we are going to get started. So let's bring in what I'm going to use. I am backing my layout with some black cardstock first of all. And I had thought that I was going to use this new mix and pack solely, and I was going to focus on this mink colored florally page right here along with this polka dot page you see right behind it. And it's got a beautiful pattern on the back, but it's just too peachy for me. It's papaya, and I think I need something more ballerina. So I jumped over to my Dream Maker collection. It's a brand new collection out from close to my heart, and it has many different colors, marbled paper. This is the coordinating cardstock I'm showing you here. And I love this ballerina page here. And I love how soft and gentle that marbled look is. The collection also comes with a paper pack and a sticker sheet. You can see some gold embellishing on there, and we'll just take a quick spin through these papers. So I'm going to focus on the coordinating cardstock, but this is another option if you want to check that out. I think it's just gorgeous. So we're going to pair these two paper packs, and I have both of my pages here already with a line drawn up diagonally, and that's going to help me because I'm going to have to cut this using an X-Acto knife. I have my T-square ruler here, and I'm going to have to move it along because it's not long enough to go from corner to corner, and neither are my paper trimmers. So that's why we're using the X-Acto knife. Okay, so I've cut through the ballerina, and I'm cutting here on my Versamat. I'm just going to show you what I'm doing. I'm just lining up the edge of my T-square, and I'm just simply going to go down that line. Just like so. This side of the Versamat is self-healing, so I felt like that was a good product to use. And if I was to use scissors, I think I'd be a little bit crooked. So I brought in our black piece of cardstock. That's going to be our base, and we are just going to simply quickly adhere these pieces down. But we are just going to tiny bit overlap up in that corner and just make it work. One stamp set that stuck out to me in this particular catalog was this Bouquet stamp and thin cut set. It's just one single stamp, which I have right here mounted on my block, and it fits onto a 4x4 block. And then it comes with the thin cut if you buy the set. And so I thought this was a must. I was not fussy cutting, and the price point was really quite good for this stamp. Now that we have both halves of our cardstock here on our black base, I just want to loosely go ahead and decide where I'm going to lay everything down. So I know this is going to be about here, this one about here, this about here, and we have a couple of clusters of flowers that we're going to stamp, and one is going to go about here, one here. So I just want to create some background stamping very lightly with our Mink ink. Here we go. The flower is going to go right about here. So I'm going to move this over just a little bit. And you've seen me do this with other stamp sets. I like just having a little bit of the image hidden under the bigger cluster. This way, it just adds another layer of visual interest to our page. We'll do one right about here as well. And there we go. It's very pretty tone on tone. It's very subtle down here. I do like that a lot. And now it's time to just put down some of our photos. I got a little bit of glue here on this one. I will use my eraser to get rid of that in just a moment. So I think this one's probably going to go about here. This one probably about there. Let's give ourselves a little more room. Do one here, one here. And then we've got that little Dior tag. There we go. I like how that kind of builds up that way. So I have decided I played a little bit before I went on camera because I wanted you to see. I played with a few different mediums. And first of all, I thought that I was going to use my Ballerina shimmer pen. But what I found was that the Ballerina shimmer pen was a little too peachy and I did not like how it looked along with my flowers. So next I tried a watercolor pencil. I'm going to hold this up, and I used the watercolor pencil right up here. I didn't love that either. So I started playing with a clear shimmer brush and our flowers. And then I decided, you know what? I don't think I want to play with shimmer at all. So I went with just a watercolor technique with our ink pad, and that's what I think is going to work best. So we're just going to try one of those. I have another piece of paper. I'm going to show you how easily this entire stamp stamps. And then I have a few other pieces here. I have titles that I've cut using baby Aletha font. I'll link that down below. I'll put the name down there for you. And then I have just some more black cardstock because I also brought down this piece of Slimline shaker window. I have one cut out of black already, and I don't know, I might need to add some elements behind this layout just to give it a little more pizzazz. So I brought that to the party as well. So let's go ahead and stamp. Just want to show you how beautifully this stamp stamps. Now I have some archival black ink here, and I'm just going to ink this up really well. I move the stamp around quite a bit because I really want to make sure that I've covered everything. And then we're just going to go ahead and stamp it down. So you need about a 4x4 piece of cardstock to do this, and I'm just going to push down. If you have a MISTI or something, it might be a really good idea. So I always just give this a second to transfer. And look at how beautiful that impression is. With the archival ink, it's kind of a glossy, it looks like it's printed. It's just gorgeous. This flower is just gorgeous. And I even debated just keeping it black and white, but I think a little hint of the ballerina is going to be quite fun to work with. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to set this aside, and we're going to pull in my close to my heart die cutting machine here. And I have it set to die cut, and the dial down here is about in the middle. I have my base, and I just have my cutting mat. So I'm just going to tape this all up. And what I found, I hope this is on camera for you, is that I found this little bump out right here goes with this big bump out here of this tiny flower. And that's how I line this up time and time again. I'm just going to give this a little piece of tape because I want to hold it in place so that it cuts properly and doesn't slide. We're just going to tape this down. I want to make sure it doesn't move during the time in the machine. And I love this machine because you'll see that it just goes through really easily. It's not cracking, it's not complaining. Just a real easy die cut. So confident I'm actually going to put this away because I don't think I'm going to have to recut. I love that machine because it cuts even our busiest card fronts like they're butter. I have my Ballerina ink right here, and just going to press down on the top just a bit. I also have a re-inker, which I could drop in here. I know we don't have re-inkers in stock right at the moment, but I think this will work. And we're going to switch to just a plain old watercolor brush. So I just pick up a little water, and then the ink has now transferred right here onto the top. And I'm just going to color in just a bit. And now we have two cuts that I think are really pretty. Like I said, I didn't go overboard with all the pink coloring like I did with the shimmer brush. That definitely dropped a lot more color, but it was not the right color. I'm not going to get rid of this though, because I think it's going to be gorgeous on a card. Now that we've got our images all stamped and colored, I do want to put those up on some foam tape. We'll get those down on the layout. You can tear the foam tape, you can cut it, whatever works for you. Just want to make sure that this one is really stuck on. This will go right about here. And like I said, I just wanted to try out this frame to see if that would somehow work in back. So let's just see what that looks like. I know it's something that is not in the sketch. Just want to see if I can't slide this in. Just see how it looks. In fact, let's do it from the front. We might have to cut it and put it under. But I kind of like that little frame in there. So I'm just going to cut it and kind of work it under just a bit. So we'll just go ahead and snip here. We'll snip here. Let's just trim off a little part of this as well. Let's see what happens when we stick it right under there. Can make it look like it goes the whole way up. Maybe trim it just a little bit more. So yes, it's going to look longer. It's going to appear longer than a card front, which is fine as long as it kind of keeps the same lines from above and below, so it looks like it's one continuous piece. And that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down the rest of the way. And I do like that little element. It just kind of frames the whole thing. It brings some balance because we're up. We've got so much over here, and this just needed something without taking away from the background paper. So I like how that looks. And now I'm just going to bring in my title. The design team girls helped me with this one. We searched for some titles and brainstormed and ended up finding this one, The Essence of Love. I just thought that worked perfectly for a wedding day. And the title was supposed to run completely across right here with a little tiny subtitle. But I think that this is going to work. So let's get this down and let's see what it looks like. Okay, so I'm liking that. I think it looks really pretty. And the last thing that I'm thinking about bringing in is in that Dream Maker set, there is a set of dies. They are gorgeous. They have titles. Let me see if I can. They have some beautiful leaves and they have dragonflies, and it says lovely and day, and there's this big beautiful rose. But I do think that I just want to see what it would look like if I snuck in one or two of these little leaves. So we're just going to pull these out, and I hope that you can see them. They have beautiful little, really delicate veining in them that's cut out of the die. And I just think that this might work if I put one right there. Let's find another one on our sheet. I find it's easier to hold it up to the light. There are actually 3 of these. I'm going to save one in case I ever do a companion page, which I am thinking about doing, and one maybe right about here. So there we go. I just think this is such an easy layout. It came together so beautifully. I love that great big floral, the die and the stamp. I just think it really adds something to this page. It's going to make beautiful cards too. But the way that you can stamp it in the background, so subtle. I know that you can only see part of it peeking out right here. But don't be afraid to use your supplies a little differently. Using a card front, cutting it, making it longer, just kind of gave this a place to anchor right here, this cluster. And I really, really love how it came together, and I hope that you do too. Let me just pick that up so you can take a look at it. So not a shimmery and shiny kind of a layout. I think that I wanted the photos to kind of bring the bling, and they did. So I'll get these glued down and take some photos for you to look at close up. As we look at the layout details, I want to remind you that I will put all of the supplies that we've used down below in this video's description, as well as the links to my other wedding layouts. Now, if you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button if you've not already done so. That way you won't miss any of my upcoming videos. Thanks for watching and have a creative day.